talking. You're talking, but you're not listening. You are talking. No, I didn't, because you did a soliloquy for 5 minutes, and when I tried to talk, I stopped because you were talking. So now I'm talking. I want the same respect. Thank you. This boy was raised up north. No matter, you sit him down on the weekend and say, when you go down there, you can't do X, Y, Z. He's raised in a different atmosphere in Chicago. You send him down south to one of the most horrible places at that time during Jim Crow, and you expect him to change his behavior overnight. You send him in a cesspool, a powder keg of an atmosphere where this young man has to learn how to behave. He's never seen this stuff before. I would have never sent my child down there. Never. Now, I'm not blaming the mother necessarily, but I never would have sent my child to an environment where every single day you turn on the TV and you hear of hangings and beatings and all the things that were being done to young black boys at that time. I don't understand why his mother sent him down there.
Hold on, Lucy. I want to jump in real quick. Hold on. I want to jump in real quick, and I'm going to be brief. Going all the way back to the entire situation, the woman, Carolyn Bryant, and her family they were extremely poor. Even though they had the store and everything, they were barely making ends meet. And her kids oftentimes was seen dirty, without shoes, etc. So you have this child from the north, and everybody knew that Emmett Till had money on him. He dressed flashy. He was a very attractive little boy, and he would wear suits to town. I think some jealousy came into play as to why that woman actually, because if you think about it, what 14-year-old little boy gonna try to grab up on a 20-something, 30-something-year-old woman like that in general? I don't know no 14-year-old little boy trying to push up on no grown old woman like that on that level, period, point blank, whether it be the store or in public or wherever. So we're not going to dismiss that psychology, that I believe she was jealous of that little boy because he came in that store and he actually had money to buy the stuff that he wanted, and he was dressed nice with a nice haircut, tied a whole nine, because that's how his mama dressed him. So down there in the South, them kids down there, they were poor. They are farmers. It was rural. It was not uncommon for them kids to go in the store dirty, full of farm dust, and no shoes and stuff on. This little boy come in, he dressed up, he looked nice, and he flashing money. She got jealous, and that's why she targeted that child, and that's why she told her husband that child tried to push up on her. Yep.
Dressed like Hicks. They ain't never seen nobody dressed like that on a regular day. Yep. And to see an African-American young boy dressed like that, flashing money, of course they were going to be jealous. So you send him down here in an area in which not only do at that time, Negroes don't dress like that and don't have money. And not only that, but the YT people that even run businesses down there don't look and dress like that. So they look at him like, oh, this uppity Negro. Uppity Negro. Yep. And they going to do something about it. I would not have sent my son down there. And again, agreed. I'm not going to sit up here and Monday morning quarterback on the mother. But I just would have made a different decision to not send my boy down there.
I wouldn't have sent my child if I couldn't have been there. Now, my family is from Louisiana, but fortunately for us, it's all of us in that town. And my kids did go and visit. Yes. Yeah, my kids did go and visit, but it's us in those two towns. That's us. Ain't nobody coming in there, and it's a different time frame. But 1950 something South, hell no, I wouldn't have sent my child back down there.
Kappa, people don't even realize this. Now, I'm from Indiana, and I know this for a fact. My first college I went to was called Vincennes University. And to get to Vincennes, you have to travel to places where in 2024, they have never had a black resident in town, right? Mm-hmm. There are still places in America today that have never had a black resident in that city living, passing through. When I would I used to own timeshare in Williamsburg, Virginia. When we would drive from Indianapolis to Williamsburg, Virginia, some of the places we stopped, I was told by the attendants in the gas stations, you don't want to be around here when the sun goes down. That's what they told me. They said, get your gas, put enough gas in your car
To get to
you don't
a
have to
safer
stop
space.
at nighttime anywhere around here. That's in 2024 in the United States. And I don't think black people realize that as much as y'all think, we ain't free, we have liberty. We're not free. We just have liberty, because liberty can be
Well, let
taken
me
away from you.
interject something about Emmett Till and the time that you're talking about. In the time that you're talking about with Emmett Till, there was not a lot of coverage or newspaper coverage about lynching. Television was just coming on the scene. Emmett Till, those 4 little black girls, those are the things that catapulted the civil rights movement, because for the first time it was televised and there was a big picture of Emmett Till's face and the nation was horrified. And to see those 3 little caskets, because one lady didn't want her daughter to have a funeral with the rest of the other 3 girls, those 3 caskets lined up where somebody had bombed the church, the nation was outraged. That's when the civil rights movement took off. Now, before all that, prior to all that, lynchings and things like that were just talked about, whispered around in neighborhoods. But let me tell you something that you said about Emmett Till. He grew up in Chicago. Maybe he did, but still in Chicago, black people and white people did not mix. Not in New York either. There were black sections of town. There were white sections of town, Italian, Irish, or whatever. They did not
That's true,
mix.
but you did
and
not
he
hear
would not have pushed up on a white girl.
You're right, but there you did not hear of what was going down south, because you had a migration. You had a migration of African American people leaving the South to come up north for the jobs, because there was more money, and they brought their stories of what was happening down south. So while the nation tried to wink at it and act like it wouldn't happen, black people knew, because the stories was coming up from Mississippi, they were coming up from Louisiana, they was coming up from Texas. They were telling, we knew, even from the standpoint of entertainers, when they went out, they had to stay in houses of the local black people in the community because they couldn't get hotels. They couldn't do certain things. So it wasn't like it was hidden. People try to act like it was hidden, but we knew what was going on down south. That's where you get the song Popular Trees, when they talk about how we hung from
Strange
those
fruit.
trees. Yeah, strange fruit. We knew about what was going on. So like Kappa said, now if the family's going down there and we going together and we leaving together, that's one thing. But to send my child into a cesspool and a powder keg of what I knew was going on down there, I never would have taken that chance.
Let me interject too, also with the catapulting of the stories. We have to remember, like you said, TV was coming on the scene and everything else. It was actually, and if you look back on the civil rights movement, it was push from the Jewish community that put these stories out onto the national stage. It wasn't done by black people. It wasn't done by white people. It actually was done by the Jewish community with the media, the print, the newspaper, and the magazines, and the financial backing to get these stories put on a national stage. And that's why when you see like Dr. Martin Luther King, you'll see the men, the rabbis and stuff standing, with him, and the priests, the Catholic priests, stuff like that. You see those guys because at the end of the day, that's what it took. They wasn't trying to hear the stories. But let me put a myth to the side that I heard somebody say in here. You were not safe in the North either. I have the book, 100 Years of Lynching. I live literally, they got St. Louis, so you have the East St. Louis race riots, which, Illinois is considered the North. Missouri was considered the South. Missouri came over to Illinois and destroyed and decimated East St. Louis, which was a black town. You have Painter, Illinois, and so many other towns in the North that really literally did the same thing from down south. We were not the only ones that immigrated and brought that ideology too. They didn't want us in the North. They wanted our labor in the North, and they wanted the South to stop benefiting off of free labor and kicking their ass in the North. That's what that came down to, strict economics. It had nothing to do with how we was being treated or how our children was being treated. It came down to economics. And they figured if the South could possibly be humbled and brought down a notch because they was kicking their ass in raw materials and they needed the materials in the North to produce the goods, then what's the best way to do it than to shake the economic base of the South? And that's how you see where we are today. But at the end of the day, you not safe. You was not safe. The natives, no minority was safe nowhere in North America. The only place our people found refuge was Central and South America.
Well, they was only safe as long as they stayed in their neighborhood.
Hold on, Clapper. Let me add this though.
Is what Kappa's saying is true, because it was an economic thing, because the North had this uppity attitude and they didn't like the South, and they didn't like the free labor that the South was getting. And as they migrated north, they used them for the labor. But as long as they stayed in their ghettos and stayed separated,
all of them didn't live in the ghetto now.
I used to go to East St. Louis, and she's telling the truth. If you even go to East St. Louis right now, you can still see the ransacking of what happened years ago to East St. Louis. It is still not recovered from what they did back in the day. So she's 100% correct.
And I wanted to add in that we have to be
about
fair.
Black people. All
We
of
gotta
them
be
were
fair,
not
though,
living in ghettos.
And I agree with that. But what I came up to say, boy, y'all do love talking over each other.
Yeah, Emmett wasn't staying in no ghetto. Emmett was living real good up there with his family.
Look at the things through a modern lens, though. You have to be fair, because you have to think of the mindset. And that's what I came up to say. What Kappa said is that this stuff was happening in the North, too. So the way you all are portraying it in a way is that everyone should have lived in fear. This shit was happening everywhere. So are they supposed to just not move around and not do what they normally do? We wouldn't do that. We would still move around our business.
I would do that now.
So you would still move on about your business, right? They was doing the same thing.
No, I wouldn't. If I knew like because I do know that racism and all this stuff still goes on, just like I know with the police, like we are targets for the police and all this stuff. But if I was if I'm watching the news, because now we do have technology. So if I'm watching the news and I see it's in this certain state, like if I done planned a vacation, just like Atlanta, since that's right next door to me. If I said I'm going to Atlanta and I see that it's been so many reports of police brutality, police unaliving Black people, even the YT people over there just going crazy and they lynching folks and it's just on the news back to back. And guess what? I'm canceling that fucking vacation and I'm gonna take my ass over there probably to Mississippi to go see my daddy.
Now watch this, Aries. Now, Aries, watch this. Now, what about the people that live there? What about the people that live there? They supposed to move?
Well, the people that live there, they got to deal with it because they live there.
Okay, so what if it start happening in your town? You gonna move? Or you gonna continue to go about your business and be more cautious?
I just have to deal with it.
No, that's the problem. That's the whole problem. Social media and cameras have not helped us, because we seen they can do whatever they want to us and we can see the whole video and it don't matter. It's got to get to the point where,
like
women, I say women, y'all can keep videoing, but some of these men got to get to the point where they don't care no more and be like, hey, if I got to lose my life for this shit, then I'll lose we care too much about our life that we're willing to stay on the plantation without sacrificing what needs to be sacrificed. Because I don't care how much you video something. I don't care when you go to court. If you ain't got the money, you can see somebody. I mean, y'all seen the white police officer that shot that guy in the back as he was running away? And how long it took before he got convicted. Yeah. So video cameras don't help us. It's not until we Black men start saying enough is enough and looking our families in the face and say, look, daddy may not be around here, because daddy gonna stand up when this YT man abuses and does all this shit. When I see them dragging a young sister out by the hair, when I see them stepping over boundaries and breaking the law to enforce the law, I'm not gonna just video, I'm gonna step in. There's a chance. I got my insurance in place from the job. I got this investments. Y'all gonna be taken care of, but understand, daddy gotta do something that may take him away.
Hold on, Clap. That don't make sense. That does not make sense, Clap.
Let me tell y'all this. Let me tell y'all this. It would take probably one incident when a YT cop is doing something that's illegal to a Black person and Black people see it and they go and jump and just do whatever they need to do. Even if some of them lost their life,
Girl, that's
what?
happening.
No, that happened.
That's happened.
that has
Y'all
been
know I'm in
happening.
Dallas, right?
Yeah, that's
Y'all know I'm
been
in
happening.
Dallas. Y'all know
Wait,
I'm in
wait,
When
Dallas.
he in Dallas,
Hold on.
but
Hold on.
see, that's
So
a
in
whole
Dallas-
different
Hold on, y'all.
ball
Time
game.
Let me
out.
tell y'all
We-
what
I gotta-
happened in
We
Dallas.
can't skip
Wait,
over that.
what
No.
Let me tell you what
Wait,
happened
we
in
cannot skip
Dallas.
over that.
Yeah, let me
We
tell you
can't
what
skip
happened in
over that.
Dallas.
Hold on, Clap. Hold
Okay.
on. We can't skip over what you just said, sir, because that doesn't make sense.
Yes,
That's
it does
not
make
organized.
sense.
What plan are you having? You as
That
an
is the plan,
individual.
dear. That
No,
is the
you're just
plan.
gonna lose your life.
It doesn't
You have to
matter. That's what I'm saying.
organize.
If you're see from
So
a
what does
Christian
that look like?
okay, let
Man,
me
we
explain
got
to you. Let me
we
explain
got
to
to
you.
start showing them that we're
Hold
willing
on.
to risk our lives
Wait a
to
minute. Hold
save
on,
our
Aries.
lives.
Hold on, Aries.
Hold on, Aries.
Here's the thing. I'm a Christian,
It's
and the
my
Bible
damn
says
panel.
that there's some things.
You're
worth
right. I'm sorry. I
losing-
apologize.
There's
You're
some
right. My
things
bad.
worth losing your life over, right? So y'all remember, I think it was
I apologize, Michelle.
2019 in Dallas, Texas, when all this shit went out, when we were getting unalived by police, right? And they were doing the marches. Y'all remember the black guy that went up with his
Went in that
pew-pew,
parking garage.
went in that parking garage and started
Yep.
taking police out.
Yep.
We had momentum, but what they did is they used the media, and here's what they did. They used, at that time, it was a black police chief in Dallas. And if you notice, if you go back to all those videos, the only people you saw from the police force that came on camera were black people. They used black people in power to make other black people empathize
Of course.
with the people who were in power.
That's literally part of the plan. They said that.
So in 2023, right here in Dallas, I was coming back from a business trip. Came back from a business trip. I was hungry. I went to go get some street tacos. Now, at that time, I had a Lincoln Navigator, had tinted windows, had 26-inch rims, whoop-de-whoop-de-woo. I get pulled over by the police. I still had my clothes in the car. They pull me out of my car, throw me on the ground. They were all YT and Hispanic, and there was 2 black cops. People were stopping to video. They ran them away, told them if they didn't leave, they were gonna get arrested. YT cop comes up to me. They didn't even call the stop in, because when I called the lawyer to town to get it, he couldn't even find the stop. When they pulled me over, right here on Forest and 75, they put a pew-pew to my head. I had 2 phones at the time. I had my regular phone that I'm on now, and I had my company phone. I started videoing. He said the N-word, if you don't